Is it cultural appropriation, or are you just being a wee snowflake? Welcome back to the Uneducated podcast, where we really don't know shit. Cultural appropriation has been a topic of discussion recently, so we're here to clean up absolutely none of it. Jokes. We'll just give our own opinions on the matter today, Abs.
Yeah, it's been a major issue recently in the news and stuff like that, with and online especially, where people are claiming people are culturally appropriating something.
Yeah.
So it's good to discuss it, I guess, or give our views on it, as it's a relevant topic now.
Yeah. I was just going to start before we get deep into the discussion. Just give the listeners some definitions.
Yeah, that would work.
Just so they. For people who maybe don't know what it is, what it's about, and sort of break down the words into their components.
Like us, yeah.
Yeah, just break people down, tear them apart, no mercy. Right, we'll kick off. Cultural appropriation is the unacknowledged or inappropriate adoption of the customs, practices, ideas, etc. of one people or society by members of another, and typically more dominant people or society. Now, if you just take the word culture on its own, it comes up with culture is the beliefs, ideas, traditions, speech, and material objects associated with a particular group of people. And then appropriation on its own is defined as illegal, unfair, or unjust taking of something that doesn't belong to you.
Those are quite interesting definitions, but I think they do encompass all of what we're going to probably talk about.
Yeah, they hold true, but I just don't agree with cultural appropriation. But I'm gonna give you your chance to give your opinion, Abs.
Yeah,
you're a faithful man, so I feel like you'll maybe have.
I come from a cultured background.
Yeah, I think you'll have more experience in this one.
So, but the definition does encompass all the topic, but it's not specific enough to what would count as cultural appropriation.
Yeah, there's quite a few examples.
Yeah, it's quite vague. Yeah, it's quite vague, and then people can just claim it wherever they see it. Mm-hmm. Right. For me, cultural appropriation is when someone takes part of this practice of sorts from another culture.
Okay.
Right, and claims it as their own.
Could you give an example?
For instance, if in the news recently, right?
Okay.
There's been this whole thing about Kim Kardashian, right? Which I hate hearing news about anyway, but
we love the Kardashians.
Yeah, man, big fan.
Yeah.
I don't know any of their names. Right. When it comes to cultural appropriation, her case, what she's done is she's created this outfit.
Okay.
Right. Which is a skin type suit that's this colour of the skin that is supposed to bring out the shapes of the woman.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Their curves and all that.
Yeah, I don't understand the curves of it either. Yeah. I don't understand it, right? But
damn, you fake girl.
the argument happens where she calls this outfit the kimono.
Okay.
Kimono or whatever she called it.
Right, so this outfit's called the kimono, however you pronounce it.
Now, whenever, when you look at Japan, right, they've had a kimono as a traditional outfit,
right, so
since before the 15th century.
So it's got the exact same name.
Yes, exact same name. And obviously that would be stealing someone else's, obviously you can change the name to whatever you want.
Yeah.
But if something's stuck with that name for centuries, and you just came out and trying to release a product where you're trying to make it more popular than the other one, and you've named it that, knowing that there was a culture that also took that name. It's a famous culture as well, so obviously if you search kimono, you'll get the kimono, you won't get Kim Kardashian stuff probably at this point.
Okay.
But obviously that to me counts as cultural appropriation.
Okay,
because you're stealing a name.
Right, so you disagree with what she's done then.
Yeah, I disagree with it. Because she can name it whatever she wants, right? You can put Kim in a lot of things.
Yeah, just the fact that she's made it that.
Yeah,
right.
The fact that she chose to go down that route when she had so many others.
Okay. Can I ask you, see the traditional Japanese version?
Yeah.
Does it provide the same function as what Kim Kardashian is set out to do? Like, is it like a skin tight sort of outfit?
No, it's quite modest.
Right.
Like with it, it's quite like it's almost like
you can be skin tight without being like, whilst being modest though.
Not in the
Look at me right now.
Not necessarily. Like, I don't think you're the image of modest in any case, right?
Thanks, bro.
When we're talking about the kimono, like it is traditionally a modest outfit.
Okay.
Right. Obviously, like you get very different variations as well, but it's imagine like a robe kind of thing. Right. That's what it is.
Like a big dressing gown.
Yeah, almost as if it's a big dressing gown, but then like has a nice design. So it does provide a different function.
Also, I just want to put in here, it's definitely dressing gown, not house coat. People that call it house coat, you can honestly get yourselves so far away from this podcast. Sorry to interrupt, Abs. I really had to put that point in.
No, I agree. Yeah. I agree. I've heard of people calling it house coats.
Oh, no.
Like, I've never met someone that calls it a house coat. But I want it to stay that way.
a couple people in my family, because they live over in like the east coast of Scotland.
Yeah.
I think it's a thing over there. Sort of like Fife in Edinburgh, they'll say house coat, and it, yeah.
That's not a coat.
Yeah, it definitely is not a coat.
Yeah.
Right. Anyway. Apart from that wee tangent there, we'll get back on topic.
So even though they provide different functions, what you're culturally appropriating is the name.
Yeah.
So for instance, if it was like any other like clothing or whatever that was created this century or last century, probably right, and if you picked the same name but it had like a similar aspect to it, then I wouldn't count that as cultural appropriation. It's because they're so different, but she's still taking the name that I'm counting it as cultural appropriation.
Okay.
If you get what I mean, because it doesn't have to have like a similarity in that case.
Yeah.
But what it is that it's a huge popular part of Japan. It's one of their tourism aspects.
Yeah.
Right. That's how famous this outfit is.
Mhm.
But then for her to take it, that was to like put that as a name.
Yeah.
Like, it's not a huge mistake. Like you can still change it.
But you still think it's a bad move.
I think it's a bad move. I don't think it's illegal. I don't think like you shouldn't do it. Like you shouldn't do it.
But you don't agree with it fundamentally.
Yeah, I think fundamentally, people are going to be insulted.
Okay.
Right. Because if someone
would you be insulted?
If someone took like a clothing from my culture, right, created like the opposite of that clothing.
Okay.
Right. Like an opposite function of it, and then called it the name of the clothing from the culture.
Would you be?
I would be like I'd be insulted. I wouldn't be like, oh, I'm pissed, man. I'm outrageous.
Right, so you wouldn't be salty.
Yeah. I'd be salty. Yeah. I'd be like, wait, that's not right.
Yeah.
Because like, there's so many other names you could take, but she took the name that her name could fit in. If you mean.
Yeah.
And I was like, that's not good enough. Like in this day and age, where like all of this is, like a major thing now.
Yeah.
That's not good enough.
Okay.
Right.
Do you want me to give you my views? Yeah.
Yeah, go on.
Okay.
Go on, your turn. Your turn.
Maybe this is because I'm not a faithful person.
Yeah.
So maybe this is why my mindset's a good bit different from yours. I honestly think. So Kim Kardashian's set out this new like product. She's obviously had to go and speak to people about like how to market it.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know anything about like what the fashion industry is like, how you go about getting a new product out there. But obviously she would have spoken to people about the name, what it's used for. I'm pretty certain she would have been, if she wasn't aware already herself about the Japanese tradition, then I'm sure somebody would have told her.
Yeah, well,
during the meeting or something. Yeah,
her managers would have known.
Yeah,
like the people like managing the product would have known. So obviously, Kim is just a celeb, right?
Yeah.
She's going to be put into the situations that her managers put her in.
Yeah.
So it's not her fault.
Mm-hmm.
Like in essence, I don't think it is anyway, as far as I know.
Yeah.
Obviously, she didn't stand up to it, but her managers must have said it's okay and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And that's where the issue lies. It's her management team or like who's managing the clothes as well. So I wouldn't put the blame on one person.
Right.
That's
Okay.
not right.
Okay. So, will we just say sort of Kim Kardashian's brand then? Her branding team
branding
and all
team.
that. The whole team in general. So they would have had to negotiate all of that together, obviously with, I don't know, I'd imagine some sort of fashion industry people as well. I can't imagine you just make up a product and
that makes
boom,
sense.
there you go. I'm sure they would have all had to speak to like officials of some sort.
Mm-hmm.
They've all agreed to it. They would have had to pay some sort of fees, obviously, to get a new product on the market.
Yeah.
I don't really see. I don't see the problem because like they've gone and paid for it.
The thing is that you can go and pay for something, right?
Uh-huh.
And I didn't say like this is illegal. It doesn't have to be illegal for it to be like hurt people, right? If you get what I mean.
Uh-huh.
So imagine like someone like made this clothing, right? Just a pair of trousers, like ripped jeans, right?
Yeah.
And called it the kilt.
Okay.
Right.
So, I mean,
called it the kilt. Right.
Obviously, I'm not fully Scottish, but I don't know if you like.
Yeah.
Are you?
I'm trying to like.
Are you imposing this hypothetical
this
situation on me?
situation,
So you want me to imagine, right?
Or like short shorts, and they call it the kilt, right?
Okay. How would I feel about that?
Yeah, but like if they're an extremely famous person, right?
Right.
Extremely famous person.
Okay.
They bring out this like attire that's totally different from like Scottish attire, but then name it after a famous Scottish tradition.
Okay.
That's a part of tourism. That's a
Right.
part of history.
Yeah.
That like has so many emotional feelings attached to it.
Yeah.
And someone comes out and add the name like obviously the other things had been named the kilt probably. I don't know. I haven't researched into this. I'm uneducated, as we say in every episode, right? But if someone takes the name there, you can see why people are salty.
I mean, I would just sort of be like, oh, sort of whatever, man. Like you do you. Like you've went and paid for it. I'm not gonna sit and like moan about it, but like, I don't know, man. I don't see why people have a problem with it. Obviously, like I'll get it. They've taken a name, but if we just think of like the British society as general, right?
Yeah.
So the British society, like, our population's taken like quite a few cultures from different countries. Like,
and none of them are happy about it.
No, but, right. Okay, let me continue. Right, so obviously you've got all your different foods that you get now, like Chinese food, Indian food, like all your takeouts and stuff, right? But if you actually went to like India and got an Indian there, I'm pretty certain your madras that you would have in India would probably be like 50 times hotter than what you would get like down your local takeaway. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like it's not the same, but they call it the same. No one kicks up a fuss about that, but it's Indian tradition.
Yeah, but Indians are into that mad spice, right?
So
that's always going to be a thing.
So it's different for different products.
No, but like for this, that's different from what I'm talking about. Like obviously the kimono and like the Kim's design, like whatever Kim's designed are totally different, right? They don't look the same or anything.
Yeah.
Right. The thing with making food is that you can't make two foods that are exactly the same.
Yeah.
Right. That's one thing.
Yeah.
Right. But you can still categorize them as the same thing. Like when I give food to like my neighbours and stuff like that. When my family gives food to our neighbours whenever we make it, and we love spice, but for our neighbours we would lessen the spice.
Yeah.
Right. That's because that would appeal to like that's not changing the food.
Yeah.
That's just taking a bit of that spice away. So like if you wear a kimono, like a traditional kimono, right?
Taking something away from something is an act of changing it though.
No, but that's the thing, right? If I took your like for instance, if I took notes that you're taking, right? I rubbed out a word.
Right.
Are they still notes?
Yes.
So why is this not the same thing for this? So I'm talking about things that look and have a totally different history here, right? But for the curry or like a kebab you have here, you can still get that same spice here, right? You can still get that same spice.
But it's not the same as from its original country.
The original country will still make food like that.
Yeah, no, like I know that.
Yeah,
I know
they'll
that.
still make that kind of food, but they still call it like a kebab or whatever they call it, right? So it's still fundamentally the same thing. It's fundamentally the same thing.
I don't know, mate.
No, because you're being over specific. You're thinking about this like chemistry, like if you change an atom, it just becomes a totally different thing.
Yeah, man, it just does.
No, it doesn't work like that. It doesn't work like that. You have to think like when it's culturally appropriation, right?
Right.
Cultural appropriation. You have to think about the history,
Okay.
the logistics, and the people that created it.
Yeah.
Right, the item. And then, like, there's so much to consider. But I'm saying, like, taking the name kimono, right, without considering that, which is what it seems like she's done, according to, like, articles.
Yeah.
Right? Without consideration, that's cultural appropriation. But if you're, like, changing a kebab because it's less spicy, that does not make it not a kebab. Right? It's still a kebab. Fundamentally, it's still going to be the same meat that you're getting. Right? Unless it's like a vegan kebab or whatever they do nowadays, right? Like a vegan kebab's just a vegan hot dog or whatever.
Yeah.
But like a kebab is still going to be a kebab if you take out a bit of spice. You can change the ingredient. The thing with cooking is that you can change ingredients sometimes. But if it's fundamentally that dish, like if I create a lasagna, right? I still have to have like the.
Okay, right. Can I put this on you?
Yeah, go
right. Okay. So. I agree with you. The food's fundamentally, even though when they come over to Britain, they'll change slightly, just to suit like the British population a wee bit better, because they might not like it being too spicy or whatever it is. If it's texture, taste, whatever, whoever's coming over will change it slightly just to make it more marketable, I guess.
Yeah.
But then when they go back home, obviously they'll have it like in a traditional sense. Right, so if we go back to the clothes thing, right, the kimono and then Kim's new product, both are fundamentally outfits. You'll wear them.
But are they made of the same like cloth, or are they made of the same history?
What's history got to do with it though?
That's what culture is. Culture is history.
Yeah, but
culture is a huge part of history.
It's not like she's trying to rewrite the history though.
No, but she did. No, she's not trying to well, obviously she made these clothes as if they were going to be revolutionary. That's how she's marketed them.
Yeah.
Right? So she, like, in essence, without considering the other traditional kimono, right?
But it's not as if she's trying to like erase
but that's
the original.
When she put it out, right?
Yeah.
Unintentionally. But with the marketing and everything,
yeah, exactly.
Like
Unintentionally, just people being snowflakes, man.
No, unintentionally. Like obviously, like I feel like there are things I don't consider like cultural appropriation as well, but we'll talk about that later. So if you're talking about her at this point, taking like doing it without consideration. If she did it with consideration, with the knowledge, right, and this from the outset. Then I think relatively that would be okay.
Okay.
Right, she's dealt with that, but her marketing team didn't consider the other one. Like for instance, when they brought it out as revolutionary, they talking about how great it's going to be, what's going to change, and stuff like that. But then giving it such a traditional name, that has a huge issue somewhere else, right?
Yeah.
And especially for Japanese people, which are very like stereotypically traditional and stuff like that as well.
Yeah.
That's where the issue is, because it seems as if because of that marketing that they want to overwrite the name of the kimono with this.
I think that's just that's like how they.
And that's not me stretching into it.
I think that's them. Obviously, that's how they'll react to it, but that's not necessarily the intention of like the marketing team and all of that.
But the intention here isn't different from the action that they took. Right. So if I intend to like drive, right, I don't intend to run someone over, but if I do it, it just happens, right? It happens.
Right.
I can't do anything about it.
Right. Okay.
So when they've went to do this marketing and it happened, they should have said, "Oh, we're sorry for taking that name." But if they don't want to change it, they would have to give a reason for not changing it, right? So if they did that, that'd be fine. But what she's done is said she wants to keep that name, and that's it. She didn't apologise for it. She didn't apologise for the confusion it caused.
I don't think she needs to apologise for it.
That's the thing with celebrities and all that. They do have to apologise because they have such a big platform, right?
But I don't think she's done anything
People are
wrong
looking
to
at
really apologise for. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, but that's the thing. Like, you're
obviously,
not,
I get
that's the thing
celebrities
with
need to
culture,
apologise like if
Yeah.
they've done something wrong.
Yeah,
But I don't think she has to in this situation. Obviously, if she's, I don't know, maybe she might do something in the future,
yeah,
and I'd be like, right, okay, she should probably do something there.
yeah.
But for this particular situation with this product,
But the thing is,
I don't think she needs to apologise.
with naming it that,
She's
like, it's fact, she's insulted a population.
well, that's how they've taken it. They know.
They've taken it
the
that way.
Japanese people know themselves what
But
the kimono is
If you're speaking
and
to
what
someone,
it means
right, if
to
you're-
them.
yeah,
They'll know that. Why do they need to care so much about what other people are going to think
It's
when
because
they
of
know in their
tourism
hearts what
aspects.
it means for them?
because it's obviously it means in their heart, right? But also it's a huge part of tourism and like what attracts people to that country.
Yeah. But
Right.
I don't think people are just going to stop going to Japan just because Kim's
They're not going to
released
stop.
some-
But they're going to like like what happens is that when you think of kimono now, right, potentially they think of two things instead of the one thing. Right.
Is that a bad thing?
For people that have created it and worked hard for like centuries to keep that outfit there, that is a bad thing. Like for me, I'm not insulted by it,
Yeah.
right? Because it's not my culture,
Yeah.
right? I'm just a weeb. But in terms of them, I get where they're coming from. Because if someone took like my holy like a holy building of like a church or something like that, right, and made another building and called it that name,
Okay.
right, unintentionally they're not trying to like insult like the other people that have changed it to that holy building or stuff like that.
Yeah.
But it's a holy term, right?
Okay.
So do you think that would offend people?
I mean, I think people would take offence to it. Yeah.
Yeah. So you're aware of that.
Yeah.
So
I'm aware. I'm aware the
Yeah.
Japanese people would take offence to it. Yeah, like
But
I
that's
get that, but I
when
don't
you're-
think they should.
When you're speaking to someone,
Like I just think they're reacting
Yeah.
to it in
But it's
such
like-
a strange way.
but it's like when you're speaking to someone, right? When you're like, because obviously like, when you're speaking to someone and you say something wrong, not wrong to you, but it might offend the other person.
Okay.
Would you apologise to them if you have offended them?
If I've offended someone
Yeah.
through what I've said to
Yeah.
them,
Would you apologise that you don't have to apologise saying, "Oh, I was wrong," but saying apology because
yeah, like I would
considered
say,
it.
"Oh, I didn't mean to offend you."
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I would
So do you get what I'm
apologise.
saying here now with Kim? Like not saying like, "Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to create this outfit," kind of thing. I'm not saying that.
Yeah.
I'm saying I'm sorry, I didn't consider that aspect of it.
Okay.
Right. That's what I'm saying. She has to apologise for.
Right. I thought you meant
No.
the former than the
No.
latter there.
Yeah. So like in terms of like if you see a YouTuber probably like explaining how they're sorry about a decision they made, they'll say like something about this thing like, "I'm sorry, I didn't consider this thing."
Yeah.
So that's where this falls into. That's the category that. it
Okay,
falls
right.
into.
I can get that then.
Yeah, because it's like
I can get
for where cultural appropriation lies, and for me,
Uh-huh.
is not considering other cultures when
Okay.
you take something of theirs
Yeah.
and change it so much. Right, something that's huge.
Yeah.
Like obviously that's a huge part of Japan.
Uh-huh.
A huge part of like
Yeah,
when
yeah.
people see Japan and see their tradition, is one of the things that comes first to mind. Like for people that are aware of Japan, of course.
Yeah.
And it's the same thing with like Africa, like they're like maybe and Hawaii and stuff like that.
Yeah.
With tribal dances or something like that.
Uh-huh.
If you bring that over here, right, and you change it, change the tribal dance,
Okay.
the one with history, right.
Uh-huh.
So this isn't just
Okay,
like
I could give you an example then.
Yeah.
What about the Macarena?
See, the Macarena,
It's
right?
became some sort of like absolute dance tune that comes on here. Is that
Yeah.
cultural appropriation?
For Macarena, no, because the population of like people who like the Macarena and stuff like that
Yeah.
adapted to it and loved it. Obviously, they've changed as well, but
Yeah.
to them, the traditional Macarena is always going to be that thing,
Yeah.
right? So obviously, it does change. It's very dependent on
The
people.
thing.
Yeah, the
thing.
people, the thing that's changed. But
Yeah.
for like something like Hawaii, like they have like for Hawaii they have the tribal dances for so many different aspects of their lives,
Uh-huh.
right? And so much different history. So like when they're doing that, they'll use the same drums or whatever, right? That's okay. And if you're just repeating moves, right, of them, like different dances, and then you put a different beat on, I think that's fine.
Okay.
Right? But if you're doing it and trying to imitate it as if you're doing like this dance that means so much to like this history,
Yeah.
and you put like a different music on, that changes a whole meaning behind the movements and the beat that they're sort of like the rhythm that the traditional dance originally had.
Yeah.
So that would cause offence. That's what cultural appropriation is. It depends on the item that's being changed.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, that's why we just need to keep talking about examples. There's nothing.
Yeah,
you can't make it general. Thanks for listening, guys. Cheers.
Remember to like and subscribe, and suggest any topic that you think we will be likely to be uneducated on.
Done.